People who have had encounters with UFOs or aliens. What's your story?
Serious response. It was summer 2012. I was a young pilot out for a late afternoon flight over the Cherokee National Forest in East Tennessee. Flying along at roughly 5,000 feet, look down along the top of a mountain ridge as the sun is getting low along the horizon. So beautiful. Notice a bright light flying along the top of the ridge at a high rate of speed. I think to myself that I am lucky enough to see a fighter jet today, as this aircraft appears to be flying close to a military training route. I glance at the VFR sectional just to verify I won't be flying through that route if there is noticeable military traffic in the area. Turn my aircraft parallel with the route and continue to watch this jet. Jet just suddenly stops over a dam as it is cruising rapidly over the mountains. Like just beep, stops from at least a 300-knot cruise to a standstill instantly. Defuke? Turn the nose of my aircraft toward the thing, cause you know, defuke is going on here. Still a few miles away. The thing is shining bright white in the orange sky of an East TN sunset, sitting still about 500 feet above this dam. As I get within 3 miles of the thing, it shoots straight the beep up like a rocket out of hell, so fast. Elon's got nothing on this beep. Yep, I don't know what defuke that was, but my ass is going home. Only told my wife. Years later, filed a MUFON report cause I saw that was a thing. Now you guys know. Still fly airplanes. Never seen anything else. Weird beep, homie.
These threads are like a Reddit campfire.
I'd always wanted to see a UFO, wanted to believe, watched all the films, and I'd looked at the sky for many years with no luck. I'd presumed it would be some sort of revelatory experience. When I did actually see one, I was terrified. It was early evening. I live up on the moors in Yorkshire, England. The area has a rich heritage of UFO sightings, including an abduction. I came out my house to return something to a neighbor, and as I was walking along the street I noticed an odd colored light in the sky, just above the horizon, which was about 8 miles away. This wasn't a particularly unusual sight, as we live under the flight path of landing patterns for 2 airports. But there was something about the color of this object that seemed different. It had this inner glow, like a flicker. Anyway, I visited my neighbor, for maybe 10 seconds to return the item he wasn't in, and came back onto the street. Looking up, I saw the same light, and this is when I felt the fear. It was by this time, directly overhead, completely silent, and big, and its light seemed to sort of illuminate the ground below. My split-second reasoning said, this can't be a plane, too fast, no noise, how did it go 8 miles completely silently? I'm not ashamed to say my hair stood up, I was literally frozen to the spot for a second. I ran to my house, and through to the back, as it was traveling that way, and watched it ascend and finally disappear, over about 5 minutes. Later that week, I relayed the story to my neighbor. He said, oh yes, X was setting off sky lanterns at the end of the street. Turns out my brain had filled in the perspective bit, when in reality what I'd perceived as 8 miles was a couple of 100 feet. I still haven't seen a real UFO.
Probably should have written serious in the title.
Me and another classmate saw some glowing, V-shaped objects in the sky. They were on a triangle formation and remained immobile for a while until they vanished when cloud passed under them. This was back in the 90s in Mexico.
They abducted me and then they transformed me into a pickle. Funniest beep that ever happened to me.
I was like 10, back in 1986, and sitting in the back seat of the car, staring up and out the rear window at the sky. I saw something strange and just watched it as we drove, until it was out of sight. Mentioned to my friends that I saw something weird. Friend's little brother says, me too, and starts to describe it. I told him stop, don't say anything else. I had us both, in different rooms, draw what we saw. Our pictures matched up in detail perfectly. It was a round disc with what looked like 3 smaller round discs behind it, and it looked like they were attached by some type of line. Chain, hose, who knows? Technically it's a UFO because even today, I've never seen anything similar to it, even on Google searches.
A year ago, I was in Midland, Ontario on vacation. It was night, and my boyfriend's stepmom called us outside to look at something. We ran out to the lake and saw a bright orange light, very high up in the distance. It was so bright it was lighting up the lake. At first we thought it was a flare, except we felt very uneasy about that theory since it stayed in the sky for at least 40 minutes, and then another orange light appeared. It hovered below the other spot for a bit. They got really close and then vanished. That was my first and only encounter witnessing a UFO. Many other people on the beach saw it as well. It was incredible.
Totally serious response. I was 9 or 10, so summer of 1982 or 1983. I lived in NE Albuquerque near Spain and Moon. Odd occasion I tell this story. I mention the area because I'm convinced someone else had to see it. I was playing in friend's backyard and I spot what I thought was just a more round, silver airplane pretty high in the sky and didn't think much of it. But I keep watching it out of the corner of my eye and it takes like a dramatic nosedive towards the earth. Not right at us but to our south, and I was convinced it was going to crash into our school, Osuna Elementary. My friend saw this too. We couldn't see the school but expected to hear a crash, but nothing. We got on our bikes and tried to ride over to the school, and then the object came floating silently and slowly just to our east from south to north just over Moon Street. I could see if clear as day, saucer shape that was 20 to 30 feet long like brushed aluminum, a few portals or windows along the edge. We sat stunned in the middle of the street just watching it float past us. We expected to see a lot of other people watching as well, but there was no one. Back in the day there was a vacant lot at Moon and Camino del Sol, and when the object reached there it stopped. Our view was obscured by houses so we didn't see it land, but we did a huge amount of dust go into the air so we assumed it landed. We rode to the lot but slowly, not really sure if we were doing the right thing. When we got there was still a ton of dust in the air but object was gone. We walked and rode around the lot for a long time looking for anything that would indicate what we'd seen but found nothing. We both watched the news that night expecting the entire city to be talking about it, but there wasn't a word. He was afraid to tell his parents, but I told mine. They said I had probably just seen someone goofing around in a small airplane. Looking back I don't know what it was. My brain wants to tell me that two 9-year-olds convinced each other into a hallucination, but that memory is as clear as any I've ever had.
Was camping once up in Michigan. Was probably 13 to 14 at the time. It was really late, all of our parents were asleep, but my cousins and I were all still awake by the fire. Pitch black outside besides the fire, probably 2 to 3 a.m. Out of nowhere, zero sound made, it was just bright out. For like 5 seconds it just looked like it was early evening, then again out of nowhere, no sound at all, it was dark again. Not saying it was aliens, but I have no real explanation to how that occurs with zero sounds to go along with it. Weird night.
This is a serious response. I actually made this comment a couple days ago, so I'm just gonna copy-paste. I saw a UFO when I was 13, almost 20 years ago. I was outside with a friend waiting for her ride home. We were talking and behind her I saw a bright circle-shaped object move across the sky, then pause, and then it zoomed out of the atmosphere. I was so shocked I couldn't get the words out to tell my friend to turn around. Of course when she did it was gone. I know what I saw wasn't of this world. We simply do not possess the technology to make something that moves that way.
I occasionally suffer from sleep paralysis. It developed in my early 20s, and I've had the alien abduction dream. My dad and I loved to watch shows about aliens, so I assumed people who claimed they were abducted had some form of sleep paralysis. It started with flashes of blue light, and I felt myself being lifted out of bed by the chest. I was blinded by a white light, and I could hear a loud mechanical whirring. When I woke up, I was sitting up in bed with my chest stuck out. My arms were holding me up. The experience was the most intense sleep paralysis dream I've ever had. I can see how someone else could have that dream, panic, and tell everyone about it.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.